Morning's meditation, we're going to sit for 3 bowls, and then we'll go almost immediately into the meditation. And then I want to talk a little bit about the cycle of the 5 emotions in Taoist medicine. So each of our organs in the body, the liver, the heart, the spleen, the stomach, the kidneys, and the lungs, and the intestines, all are associated with a particular emotion. And when we feel a strong emotion, one of those organs is affected by it, but also those organs, the energy of those organs, informs the experience of the emotion itself. And when we feel a strong emotion, it begins what we call the elemental cycle. So I'm not going to say too much about that now. Rather than get into our heads thinking about this, I think it's better to sit for a while, and then after the meditation, we'll talk a little bit about, from the perspective of traditional Chinese medicine and Taoist medicine, how to work with emotions in a healthy way. So not to suppress them, but also not to let them be expressed so strongly that they create an environment that's unhealthy in relationships or just in our lives. Meditation is really the beginning of developing that relationship, the capacity to be with an emotion and not let it take over our identity. So let's have 3 bowls of tea together in silence. As long as you're muted, if you want to listen to music, you're welcome to. I've had a very busy previous, 2 years, but this week in particular, there's a lot going on. So I'm sitting in silence anyhow because I find it an opportunity to really quiet down a bit. Really, for me, having 3 bowls of tea before the meditation is part of the meditation itself. And you can watch some of the other classes that are on the website about different practices of the 3 bowl meditations in terms of intentionality. But I find that if I'm not in a really centered, clear, grounded space, which this morning I am not, it's something I find quite powerful in the 3 bowl practice. It's a transition from the external world into your inner life. And if you use the bowls, each one, to breathe, to notice tension in the shoulders, in the neck, in the face, in the myofascia, in the musculature of the body, and you use it to take deep breaths and let all of that start to open and settle, it's a very good beginning of meditation. Also, that practice of letting go of contraction, tension, tightness, the tea will help go in and move stagnant energy in the body. So people might say, well, I'm not feeling tense right now. Like, why do I need to do that? The thing is that the way emotions, memories, traumas, challenges, stagnation are held in the body, they're held in the myofascia, held in the organs of the body, held in thought patterns that run like loops. So it's not like you feel an emotion or you have an experience and then it just passes and it's gone forever. It gets stored in the body. So really, healing work, but also accessing deeper stages of meditation, requires opening up these areas of the body. And you might notice, for example, I've done a number of 10-day meditation retreats in the Vipassana tradition, which are incredible. And if you ever have an opportunity to take 10 days for yourself to go sit one of those courses, they're very highly recommended. But sometimes, it's like day 6 and you've been meditating for 10 hours a day. And all of a sudden, a really strong memory from your childhood or from a relationship that ended in a certain way or something will all of a sudden flood your mind, your memory, like a film and fast forward or something. and you get flooded with re-experiencing that experience in the body because it's been held somewhere. You know, maybe some extreme anger when you were young at a member of your family or something is held in the liver, and all of a sudden it releases. And when it releases, you can feel this massive energetic and emotional experience. So that's why with like the 3 bowl meditation or the meditation we're going to do today, learning to really relax and allow that stagnant energy to move through as a daily practice starts to set a different baseline of centeredness and calm and stillness that facilitates deeper meditation practice. So thank you all for coming. It's so wonderful to see you. I wish we were in person. And I hope you've got some nice tea. I'm drinking a tea this morning called Truth Serum. It's an aged Chiman red tea. It's a little bit lighter red tea. And really this tea is a Gong Fu red tea. I should be brewing it in a Gong Fu pot, but I'm not because I forgot. And that happens. So welcome to Thursday morning. Hope you have some nice tea and a kettle ready. So let's have 3 cups or bowls together in silence, and then we'll start the meditation. You can pull this mat, Phil. Grab a different tea. So wherever you're at, starting to wrap up this round, maybe have one last steeping. So this meditation, we're going to first do a practice to bring the mind into the body, to quiet the mind and find our way into the body. And then we'll go through the cycle of the emotions. And part of the intention in having a meditation practice that's a daily practice is to develop a little more space between ourselves and our emotional experience of life. Not in some disassociative way or disconnected way, but rather to be able to rest in a witness state or to observe what we're feeling. You know, emotions, the word emotion itself comes from emote, which is Latin for move or to move. Emotions pass through our system, through our mental, emotional, physical, astral body like weather patterns. And sometimes it's very stormy and there's a lot of lightning and it seems very loud. But everybody here who's seen a lightning storm knows they pass, right? But what happens is if you start to allow the lightning storm, we'll say, of anger to take over your experience and you identify with a strong emotion, you actually become that emotion for a period of time. And then the effects are residual. They last a lot longer if we can't maintain a little bit of space between ourselves and what we're feeling. So maintaining calmness, tranquility, stillness of the mind, stillness of the emotional body is perceived, it appears like it's a superpower when it's managed, when the emotions are managed masterfully. Now, we all know people who are like, have such a degree of equanimity that they seem catatonic or like they're not really available or emotionally present to you. That's not what we're talking about here. So in the Vipassana tradition, Goenka, who's a wonderful teacher, he's passed now, but he talks about the bird of freedom, which the bird represents enlightenment, awakening. And he says that bird has two wings, and one wing is equanimity, and the other wing is awareness or sensitivity. And too much equanimity, and you're kind of dull and dead into life. You're not engaged in life. Too much sensitivity and everything's overwhelming. You can't handle anything. And as Buddha likes to say, he used to come to Los Angeles when I lived there a lot, and he would say, you know, people are so sensitive there without the equanimity, and it's like, oh, we got to smudge that. Oh, everything's got to be organic. That food's not cooked properly. Like, it was way too much. There's not enough equanimity. Everybody was hyper sensitive. Really, this bird requires both wings. If it's just one wing, it just flaps. It just flies in circles, right? We just go in circles. Developing a capacity to remain very still, for the mind to be calm, allows us to access subtler energy, subtler realities of our inner life with the equanimity. Whereas sensitivity allows us to be more attuned to other layers of reality and also to be more attuned to our inner life. Our inner life is just as complex and varied and multidimensional and multifaceted as our exterior life. But we can't really be in touch with that interior life if we don't have great sensitivity or awareness. So when emotions are out of balance, or when they're very strong, it can throw us way out of that equanimity very easily. So a strong meditation practice helps to both build awareness and equanimity. And a good meditation practice will build those together. Rather than, I know people who meditate a lot, like hours every day, and a lot of those people just seem like stones. When you talk to them, you're like, is anybody home? They're not really emotionally available. And that's not what we're going for. That's not an awake life. However, having that stillness, the centeredness, stillness, and quietude of the mind, and the ability just to witness what's happening without todayly identifying with strong emotions, is a very important part of self-cultivation. So today is really about the emotions, and I'll say more about that after the meditation. And after we meditate, if you're sick of hearing me talk, then you can just go about your day. So I hope this is all beneficial to all of you, and it's so wonderful to see you this morning. So find a nice seated position, and you want your legs really, your shins flat on your pillow, on your mat. If you're really flexible, you could sit in half lotus, or if you're very, very flexible, you can sit in full lotus where the feet are up on the thighs. But really the most important thing is that your shins are flat on the pillow, because that creates real stability, so that you're not adjusting constantly with the small muscles in the legs to keep yourself balanced. You really want to sit, we say sit like a mountain. So you really want a strong foundation in your seated position. And also, sometimes I have to bring my pillow up the back of my butt towards my back a little bit to bring a little more support, so I can roll forward on the tailbone, which allows me to keep the spine very straight. If this is uncomfortable, it just takes time. You have to continuously practice until it becomes comfortable. The left palm goes in the right, and the thumbs just gently touch, as if you could slide a piece of paper between them. And you can kind of tuck them in just in front of your belly button. The shoulders you want to roll back a little bit, but not exaggerated. The chin tucks slightly, and you should feel the occiput, the top of the head, pull diagonally upward just a bit. And then allow your eyes to just gently close, the teeth to gently touch. And an important part is for the tongue, the tip of the tongue, to touch the roof of the mouth, where the hard palate reaches the upper teeth. By connecting that point, you're allowing the cycle of energy between the front and back of the body to complete its circle. So just settling into this spot, straightening the spine, relaxing the shoulders, and starting through the nostrils just to take a number of deep breaths. We're just going to sit for a few minutes, taking deep breaths, and you can move from the crown of the head down to the feet and back up. Just observing any areas of tightness, of tension, contraction, strong sensations. Just moving through the body. And when you do come across an area, maybe in the shoulders, maybe in the face, excuse me, of tightness or tension, just stay there for a bit and breathe deeply into the area, bringing more spaciousness into the body. So we'll just sit for a few minutes and you can scan the body, relaxing and opening. As thoughts try to intrude, you can just observe the thought for a moment and then come back to the body. As the mind wanders, taking a couple deep breaths and just coming back to observing sensations. Connecting with the aliveness in the body, the movement of energy or chi. Just noticing that anywhere you place your attention is very much alive, vibrating and moving. Bringing the body and the mind together. attention to open up so that you feel your entire body together, observing the rise and fall of the chest and diaphragm with the breath, noticing as you inhale how the arms and the shoulders lift, rising like a cloud, and with the exhalation dropping down. Perhaps noticing just perceptible the heartbeat as it courses blood through all the veins and arteries. Feeling the aliveness in the body. Trying to maintain awareness of the sensations of the whole body at once. Noticing the head and the chest, the belly and the arms, the sensations in the hands, and the pelvis and the legs, the calves and shins and the feet. Tuning into the sensation that just as you're breathing the outside environment is breathing you. Making a strong, determined effort to not move. Noticing the desire, the discomfort, the wish to shift the body or move it. Acknowledging these are just sensations. Just fluctuations of the mind. Drawing the attention to the nostrils and the sensation of air coming in and going out. Just noticing subtler and subtler sensations at the nostrils of the air going in and out. We'll stay here for a while. As the mind wanders off, just noticing what the content of thought is and coming back to just observing the sensations. It may be helpful to take a couple deep breaths and just come back to observing the breath. certain thoughts keep coming back, just telling yourself, I'll attend to that later. For now, I'm just here observing. Allowing the attention to become more and more focused, more minute. Just observing the breath, observing the cadence, the rise and fall, the transition from inhalation to exhalation. Is it smooth or choppy? This breath that begins with our birth and sustains us throughout our entire existence. Feeling a sense of gratitude for it. Just paying attention. The breath can never be anywhere else but right here. It is our greatest tool for managing strong emotions. Just coming back to the breath, breathing deeply. It is the greatest support for managing our nervous system and our reactivity to life. By spending time observing every day, we develop a relationship with this important tool. Taking 5 or 6 very deep breaths, feeling the lungs filling, and exhaling any heaviness, any doubt, any worry. Breathing in fresh air and exhaling any concerns about the day, any fears. Feeling lighter as you breathe in deeply, It's fresh air. And exhaling any heaviness or darkness. Without losing contact with the body, beginning to breathe and allow the attention to move down from the waist all the way down. So starting to observe the pelvis, sensation of your body sitting on the pillow, sensations within the legs, the feet. And here we begin to connect with the earth element. This earth that we are sitting on that sustains us and holds us up. Beginning to notice the sensation of your weight on the ground and the ground pressing up, holding you up. Noticing any sensations in the legs, throughout the waist and the pelvis area. And as you breathe, allowing this earth element, the sensation of weight, of heaviness, of stability, of groundedness, to manifest in the lower body, to feel that stability. We're not dealing with the world of concepts and ideas, but the physical form where it touches the earth. No being fails to cover the ground upon which it stands or sits. We do not exist somewhere else in reality, but right here and now. Feeling that earth element that holds us together. As you stay connected to the lower half of the body, connect with your integrity. Connect with the truth of your existence here, in this moment. Begin to notice how when we worry, worrying about the future, what will happen, worrying about the past, about what happened before, we lose contact with our bodies in this moment. We lose contact with our integrity. We lose contact with the truth that this moment is what is real. And we can return back to this feeling of stability and integrity. We can return back to the impeccability of our words, the clarity of our words. Speaking the truth is what imparts the power of the earth and dispels worry and doubt. So opening up the awareness to more than just the lower body, feeling the whole body again, breathing as one unified field, taking a couple breaths there. And moving up now into the belly. Feeling the expansion and contraction of the belly with the breath. Feeling the intestines, and the kidneys in the back, the bladder, the stomach. As we connect with our belly and our back. Start to feel into the earth element, or the water element. To our unconscious and subconscious awareness, to deep-seated beliefs, to the flow of the emotions. Imagine being out in the ocean, the deep, deep ocean, and the feeling of fear that arises when you consider diving into the water. Fear of the unknown, fear of the unconscious. Feel how that fear is rooted in this water element. Stay connected to your belly. Take a moment to examine, without losing that connection, what fears are present in your life right now. What are you afraid of? Is it ultimately rooted in the fear of the unknown? What may or may not happen? Try to touch in on the fact that by confronting those fears, by exploring them, not avoiding them, but looking directly into them, we give birth to our deepest wisdom. We can only know ourselves truly by going into our fear. We spend so much of our lives running away from our fear, and it's the source of all of our wisdom. Taking some deep breaths, and again opening up our awareness to the whole body. The rise and fall of the chest and the shoulders. The weight of the body on the ground. Noticing just for a moment any sounds that you hear. Cars passing in the distance, birds singing. Happening in this moment. Moving up from the belly, feeling the liver on the right side under the ribs. Feeling the rise and fall of the diaphragm. And starting to connect with this energy in the spring of life, of all the animals coming out of hibernation, all the green buds on the trees, the grass, everything coming to life. This upward movement of growth, this rising energy, this relentless energy, like seeds when they break open, the sprout pushes through concrete and earth and stone to rise and rise. Staying connected to that diaphragm, feeling the ribs on the side of the body. And feeling the areas in your life where you want to move forward, you want to grow, you want to expand. Connecting with your vision of where you're going, what your goals and your aims are, where you want to push forward, just like that sprout growing, where you want to grow and how you want to grow. Feel for a moment the frustration and the anger that come when you don't get what you want, when reality doesn't correspond with how you think it should be, when people do things that are against the direction that you're trying to go, when things get in your way, when you don't know how to move forward. Feeling for a moment that anger and frustration. And with a couple deep breaths, exhale and say, I forgive myself. Forgive anybody who gets in the way. I know you didn't mean it. Connect in with the power of forgiveness and kindness. And forgive anybody or anything that you still carry anger or resentment over. Feel forgiveness for them. And exhale the anger, just let it go. When you're ready, you can take some deep breaths and come back to the whole body again. Rise and follow the chest. Bringing the attention up into the lungs. Feeling the lungs expanding with each inhalation. Opening the chest, bringing fresh air in. Bringing in fresh inspiration, fresh ideas. Connecting us with the outside world and the inside world, the world of ideas. All the information floating out in the world about how life is. And bring it into our being, decide what we think is true or false or important or unimportant. Just feeling that flow from the outside in and the inside out. Starting to feel the things that we carry that bring us sadness or grief, the things that feel heavy in our lives, the things that we carry that we're afraid to let go of. Causes grief, heaviness, that cause the shoulders to roll forward and the chest to cave in. Feel that wish to cry at times, the wish to let go of this heaviness. Now feel that we can draw in heavenly energy, clean, fresh inspiration, new ideas, new beginnings, new life in every moment, new birth. And feel as we exhale that we're letting go of the grief, letting go of heaviness, letting go of things that we don't need to carry. Exhaling and letting them go. Inhaling fresh energy, fresh ideas, new beginnings. Feeling the lightness in the chest as you let go of heaviness. As you're ready, again connecting to the whole body. Breathing. Feeling connected to the legs, and the belly, and the torso, the arms, and the head. Swallowing a couple times. And now connecting with the heart. Both the physical heart and the center of the chest and the head. Feeling the entire head and the heart. Here we're connecting with the fire element. With the lightning storm of thoughts always happening. We're also connecting with the realm of the spirit. The knowingness of the heart, our innate wisdom. With the spirit that guides us, if we can listen ever more carefully to the wisdom of the heart. Informed by clear memory, clear insight, and clarity of the heart. To feel that clarity of the heart, we have to let go of grudges and resentment. Let go of pain and trauma and difficulty. And just connect with the open heart. Connect with the joy of being alive. Feeling gratitude for the joy of being alive. What a gift. What a miracle. Taking a moment to notice that when that joy becomes too strong, too manic, when the zest or fervor for life experiences becomes too strong, the energy can become scattered. For a moment, noticing any areas in your life where you're scattered or unfocused. And inviting that scattered energy back into the actual heart, to the focused center of the chest. Staying connected to the body even when the mind has all sorts of ideas. Staying present. Staying equanimous. Not being pulled in 1,000 directions. Bringing together equanimity and calm with deep awareness and sensitivity in the heart. And inviting that awareness, clarity, and calm from the heart center up into the closed eyes, keeping the eyes closed. And inviting total clarity of vision, total clarity of purpose, clarity of mind, clarity of insight, the ability to see one's path and to walk it with integrity. Feel the whole head and a glowing brightness, warmth, and bright light that expands around the head, opening up, illuminating one's vision, one's thoughts, one's awareness. As it opens, feeling that envelope of light and clarity expanding for the whole body, feeling the whole body open, like a luminous egg or envelope around the body, opening, the field of awareness expanding without losing a sensation of the physical body, but just opening and expanding. And as we take a number of deep breaths in silence here, feel not only the physical body, but also this field of awareness outside of the body, rising and falling with the breath. We'll take a few minutes just to breathe and be aware of that. Feel an expansive openness. A lightness. Bring the hands to heart center. May the merits of my practice benefit anybody I encounter today. May the peace in my eyes greet all those whom I make eye contact with today. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings know freedom and kindness, respect. May all beings be free. As you're ready, you can start to come back into the room and open your eyes. So that meditation went a little bit longer than I anticipated, so I'll just say a couple things here, which are, like I started before, to communicate that developing a harmonious relationship to one's emotions is really the beginning point of cultivation. The ability to maintain a calm mind and a calm emotional being is really at the root of beginning to access subtler levels of our interior lives. Because we spend so much of our lives, myself included, and every other human I know, more or less, on a bit of an emotional roller coaster. You know, one day to the next, from morning to afternoon to evening, we don't know if it's going to be raining and stormy, or if it's going to be calm, or if it's going to be beautiful and peaceful. We're kind of on a constant, we're at the whim of our emotions, and they can fluctuate a lot. And because the emotions are reacting to thoughts, a lot of emotions are just reactions to thoughts that we have through meditation practice, or to beliefs that we have. You know, our unconscious beliefs inform our actions, and then our actions create our character, and then our character creates a feedback loop with reality. And we start to have an experience, which I'm sure all of you have had, where exterior reality starts reflecting back to us how we are. So people who are really kind and giving and supportive, they often experience reciprocity, where other people naturally are kind and giving and supportive of them. People who are angry and frustrated, they experience anger and frustration back. So we have, you know, sayings like, as within, so without, as above, so below. So however your interior life is being maintained and how you're relating to your emotions is what you project out into the world, and then that's what you receive back. So people think that they can change their exterior reality without addressing their interior reality, but the reality is that you will experience in the exterior world whatever is, it's a reflection of your inner state and how you're managing your inner life. So this meditation was working through the 5 elements, and there are lots of amazing books on the 5 elements in different traditions. You might, if you want to explore that topic further, one book that I've read a couple times that I like a lot is called The 5 Spirits by a woman named Laurie Deshar. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. It's called The 5 Spirits. And you don't have to have a background in Chinese medicine to understand that book. It's quite beautiful. It's really about how to work with the 5 elements and the 5 spirits in your own cultivation and work. And like I said earlier, each element and each organ in the body has certain emotions associated with it. So just to give you an example, The liver, right? We were working with the liver and the wood element, that rising wood element, which right now in the springtime, that wood element is what's active. And people who have an excess of wood energy, of wood element energy, they're irascible. They become angry very easily. They fly off the handle. They get very irritated and frustrated. I have a lot of wood energy. It's the energy of pushing forward, of of having a lot of vision and wanting things to happen. In some of the classical Chinese texts of Chinese medicine, that energy, the wood energy, is referred to as the general in the army. You know, the general in the army is a leader. They push forward, they push through difficulty, they push through obstacles. I think oftentimes chefs in restaurants have a lot of wood energy. You know, oftentimes chefs are like, ugh, they're like full on intense people. They run the kitchen, they get a lot done, and they are often easy to anger. So wood energy can be very productive. It can be very, it can get a lot done. It can push through things, but it also can, when it wants to just go, go, go and push, 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 when it comes up against blocks, it gets it gets frustrated and stagnant, and it can fly off the handle. People who have unbalanced wood energy, oftentimes they're trying to sedate that energy with alcohol. And of course, alcohol and the liver don't get along so well. So wood energy rises up, and we even use it in describing people. They're red in the face, or they're hot-headed, you know, or they're livery people, right? The reason that there's redness in the face is because chi, or energy, follows the blood, or the blood follows the chi. So when that energy rises, anger rises, the blood follows it, and you get red in the face. So I just say some of that because that energy of anger, if it's used in a balanced way, if it's balanced with earth element and with water energy, earth and water energy, to temper it and calm it, somebody with a lot of, somebody who's working in social justice, they can do a lot of really good things as long as it's not just pure anger about the lack of justness or righteousness in the world. If it's balanced by compassion and temperance and love and forgiveness, then it's quite powerful. So I just share that example to say that any element is not good or bad. Feeling emotions is not good or bad. It just is what it is. But having a balanced emotional being is part of what allows us to develop great sensitivity and awareness in our own cultivation. And so all of that sensitivity and awareness and emotions, they have to be balanced by equanimity. And equanimity comes from meditation. There might be other ways, meditation and tea, there might be other ways to develop equanimity in the face of strong emotions. I haven't found a better way yet. I'll let you know if I do. But through meditation, we develop more space between ourselves and our emotions. And the last thing I want to say, after I take a sip of this tea as it gets cold here, is that there's something called the chi arc, or the emotional arc. And it's the way that emotions transform into one another. And it's something you might try and observe. So anger, for example, anger is an easy one to talk about because it's when you're pissed off, it's really obvious, right? Whereas some of the other emotions are a little more subtle. So if you get in an argument with somebody, what happens first is the energy rises, and you get in a big argument, and everybody blah, 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 blah. And then that explodes, it scatters, because the wood energy turns into fire, and it gets scattered, and it scatters your energy out. It scatters the chi from the body. And then it turns into pensiveness, which is the earth element. You start thinking about, oh my God, why did I just do that? And you'll notice if people get in a big argument, then afterwards they get quiet and they get pensive and they start thinking about, what did I just say? What did I just do? What are we even arguing about? And there's a pensiveness, and the pensiveness, then as you think about it and you start to feel some regret maybe about whatever it was about, the argument, then it turns into grief. And that's where the crying comes after, right? That's where the emotion of sadness comes in, because you feel regret for maybe yelling at somebody you love or saying something you didn't mean. And then after that, the grief then transforms into fear, which is the water element. So then you go from the metal element into the water element. And the water element is the fear of, oh my God, did I just break something? Did I say something so terrible it can't be fixed? We go into the fear. What's going to happen now that we had this argument? Or what's going to happen if I can't get a hold of my anger or whatever? And that fear then, when we get stuck in the fear, oftentimes can lead to more anger. And then the cycle begins again. So I say this because it's a bit more nuanced, the way that emotions work, but it's to recognize they are totally interconnected. It's part of one integrated system, our emotional, energetic being. It's not like just there's pure anger and sometimes you have it and then it shuts off and then you go about your day. When you get an argument, the next time you get in an argument or you get really upset about something, and we'll say it's anger as the emotion, or irritability or frustration. Maybe you're not an angry person, so we'll say you get really frustrated about something. Try to notice, if you can create a little more space, how the frustration transforms into these other emotions. And that can serve as a key to recognize, rather than allow myself, I'm sure all of you have been in a situation where you get in an argument and it ruins your whole morning or your whole day or your whole afternoon or whatever, because then you have to wait for like hours to go through all of these emotional states. If you can create more space through meditation, then as the anger is arising, and this is why it's so important for the mind and the body to work in unity as one. If the mind and the body are together, then you can notice, oh, it's rising. I can feel that frustration, that anger rising. And that is an opportunity to take some deep breaths. And this is something I'm getting better at, but it's difficult. When you're about to get in a fight with somebody, or you're about to argue over something and you both have a strong stance, recognize, the energy's rising, I'm about to yell, or and what is yelling? It's that energy rising and it has to come out. Catch yourself and say, this is not the mind that can resolve this situation. Remove yourself from the situation. Go for a walk. Moving the limbs, moving the blood helps to dispel all that energy. If you have a difficult conversation to have somebody, take a walk, because you can't dig your heels in. The ego can't take a stance. Now you have a stance. As you're moving, you're flowing. You're allowing the energy to move more freely. If you're going to have a difficult conversation with somebody, doing it while walking often can make it a much easier conversation. But recognizing the mind that is arising right now is not the mind that is going to resolve the situation. What happens is, if the other person's pain body is already triggered, they want to get into it. They do not want you to walk out that door. They want to argue. They're like, no, we're gonna duke it out right here and right now, because I've got a stance and I'm right. If you can extract yourself, same thing with, say, deep sadness or grief. If you can go move the body, create some more space to allow it to process, then you can stop that cycle from being so intense. It might come up, but you'll move through it much faster if you don't give it full warning. If you can catch yourself before you yell at somebody or you get really upset, go for a walk, do something else. Just get your mind off of it. Then when you come back to it, first of all, it will save you hours of emotional turmoil, which depletes the chi, right? So at the most basic level, in terms of people who are cultivating themselves, emotions can deplete a lot of your vital energy, your vital force. And you'll notice, if, for example, you get in an argument, after you go through that cycle, you're exhausted. You're just totally worn out. You can pull that energy back in. We say in our tradition, internalize everything, externalize nothing. Pull the energy back in, go for a walk. Don't let it get to the point where the emotions get out of balance. And once you've processed it and you've thought it through, then you can sit down and have a calm conversation with that person about what happened. This way of managing the emotions allows you to take all the energy that we leak. All day long we leak energy through emotions, through words we don't need to say, through things we don't need to do. And that's why we're often scattered and distracted. If we can continue to gather the chi, gather the energy, internalize it, when the emotions are about to go crazy, try to just draw them in and recognize, okay, that's about to happen. I need to extract myself for a moment and then come back to it later. By doing that, we can create new habits of gathering energy internally and cultivating the energy instead of constantly scattering it everywhere. I think that's all I'm going to say on this topic. It's a big topic. We could talk for a long time, and I'm sure people here, you're welcome to share if you'd like to, or if you have any questions. But managing the emotions skillfully for the cultivation of wisdom and for the cultivation of vital energy, vital chi, is a really central aspect of cultivating oneself, developing oneself. And it's also one of the hardest things. We all have constitutional makeups. I've got a lot of wood and fire energy. So, for example, that tendency towards trying to do a lot and then getting frustrated when it's difficult or it's taking longer than I think it should, or when reality doesn't correspond to how I think it's supposed to look, that tendency towards getting frustrated and just pissed off is strong. And I fail sometimes, and sometimes I'm able to catch it and go, okay, I'm gonna go walk, or I'm gonna breathe, open up, trust the universe, trust life. It's meant to happen in its own timing. We can get better at managing our emotions over time. We're not just stuck, this is how I am, I'm just stuck with it. But it takes practice and time and attention. And at its most basic level, it takes care. You have to care about managing your emotions. And a lot of people are kind of victims of them, which can make life difficult for ourselves and for other people. So it's a really deep aspect of cultivating one's spiritual life, is learning to manage their emotions effectively, efficiently, and using all that energy that's in them for our own growth and development. Okay, that's all I got. That's all I got on the topic for this morning. But if anybody has any questions or they want to share anything, this would be a good time. And I hope this was valuable for all of you. And thank you so much for coming. I appreciate your time and attention and energy. And I hope you have a peaceful, balanced, emotionally grounded, clear, expansive, and extraordinary Thursday. We could wait and see if anybody has any questions or anything.